I feel like this is more a book. Try again. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we are doing a series check-in / round off of 2024. So it's basically where am I finishing 2024 with my series and starting 2025. I have some plans. I'm planning to do these series check-ins twice a year. The last one I did was in July. It was very in-depth. I went through every single series that I am in the middle of, so I'll have that linked below for you. For this one, we're going to go over the stats. We're going to see the difference of where I was in July to where I am now, and then we're also going to look forward to between now and the next series check-in, which will be probably end of June, beginning of July time, what series I want to try and focus on and see whether we can do that. So let's get straight into the stats, shall we? Ended 2024 on finishing 6 series, which is 2 more than where it was in July, and the 2 series that I finished out is the Marvelous Light series, which is called the Binding Trilogy. Really loved this. I read books 2 and 3 in 2024, finishing out this series. It is such a good series. You've heard me talk about it so much. It's a historical fantasy romance with a bit of mystery in it. I really enjoy this. I really like the magic system, how it's done with Cat's Cradle. I really love the queerness of these books, and just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I really love the characters, really enjoyed finishing out this series. And then the other one is one that I started and finished in 2024, and that is the Waverley Sisters series, which is Garden Spells. This is just a duology. You can read Garden Spells on its own. The follow-up is First Frost, and it takes place 10 years later. I really liked it. This is a magical realism, slice of life, cozy book where we are following these Waverley sisters. They have this tree which loves to throw its apples at people, which can tell you either the best thing that's going to happen in your life or the worst. And also the Waverleys themselves are just that little bit different, unique and magical, and we're seeing this family, the difficulties that they've had to go through. We've got a few different perspectives, and it's just wonderful. I really love it. You're going to be hearing me talk about this a lot because I also mentioned it in my top books of 2024 as well. But those are the 2 series that I finished since July, which is that good? No, could definitely be better, but never mind. I have DNF'd 12 books compared to 6 in July, so I DNF'd 6 more books. A couple of the ones that I own physically, which will be some of it unhauled. So we have Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. Decided, you know what, the last book, 5th book in the series, the 3rd book in the Magnolia Parks bit of it, I didn't really enjoy, and it's made me go, you know what, I'm just going to unhaul what I own of this. And they were fun, messy romances for at the time when I was in the mood for that sort of thing, but it's not really my kind of thing, I've decided. Another series that I'm DNFing is Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. Keeping this book because I love this book. I will reread it, but I'm treating it as a standalone. I was not impressed with the Vampire Lestat at all. That book I'm probably going to unhaul, and I will not be continuing on with this series, but the book itself, like this first one, I adored, and I do want to try Anne Rice's other work. It's just, I was not a fan of the Vampire Lestat at all. I would rather keep my loved one book than push myself to read more books in that series when I may not like them. I'd rather just stick with this. This was beautiful and wonderful, and I will keep this. And then lastly, I was umming and ahhing about this one in July, but have decided to DNF this series, which is The Hierarchy, The Will of the Many. Basically, I've decided to DNF this series. I was so disappointed with this book. I know so many people love it. I know I'm in the minority there. For me, this just wasn't what I wanted it to be. The main character is too much of a doormat. I've just read other books that do this concept better. I liked the concept of this being more focused in the school setting and him infiltrating that, which I've barely explained it, but basically we've got this main character whose family was decimated by conquerors. He is then being taken in to infiltrate the conquerors. He's just kind of going along with the series of events that are happening to him. Rather than him wanting that vengeance, rather than him wanting to get the revenge, he's just kind of going along with everything, and that's what I don't like about it. So yeah, I know that if I was going to continue on with this, it would just annoy me, so I'm not going to, and I'm going to unhaul this book, which I know is an unpopular opinion. Okay, so those are the finished and DNF. In total, I am in the middle of 60 series, which is 1 less than in July. I am up to date in 17 series, which is 3 more than it was in July. and I am in progress with 43 series, which is 4 less than what it was in July. I've managed to get in progress with some, DNF'd others. I thought it'd be really interesting though to note that this year, that in 2024, I started 33 series. Only one of those series did I start and finish in 2024, which as we mentioned was the Waverley Sisters, and 6 of the DNFs were books that I have started this year and then decided I'm not continuing on with this series. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. I now want to go through some priority series that I want to read between now and the next check-in. I'm not mentioning 3 books that are on my January TBR because hopefully I'm going to be reading these in January. Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black, which will finish out a series, so fingers crossed we can do that. Mislaid in Parts Half Known by Shauna Maguire, which would put me up to date, but then the next book comes out in February, but at least it's continuing with the series, so that would be good. And A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers, again, just continuing on with the series. This is the second book in a series, so I'm not going to mention those 3 because I should be reading them anyway. I mean, as I'm filming this, I haven't started reading them yet, but I've still got a few weeks, so hopefully I can get those done. But I figured I wanted to do a mixture of a series that's going to put me either up to date with everything that's been published so far or actually finishing the series, and then a few that are just I would like to continue and just make some progress in. Starting off with the Tea Monk series by Becky Chambers. I've read the first one, A Psalm for the Wild Bolt. The second book I haven't read. I have no excuse. These are really easy bite-sized novellas that I can easily finish out. They're really cozy and warm-hearted, and I genuinely love them so freaking much. I loved learning about Mosscap and our main character. Oh, I've forgotten his name. I'm bad with names, but I just loved learning about them, their journey and everything, so I'm really excited to see what that second book's going to bring, and that would be good to actually finish out a series. Another one that would finish out a series is Anatomy, a Love Story by Dana Schwartz. I have the second book now, which is Immortality. I definitely want to read that one. There is no reason why I shouldn't be able to read that one and finish out this duology. It's a young adult historical duology with a bit of murder mystery. Really enjoyed it for fans of things like Stalking Jack the Ripper. It was good, so I need to just finish out that bit, and then again that's another one I finished. One that I would like to be up to date in what's currently published is the Marlowe Murder Club series by Robert Thorogood. The most recent one, which is Death on the Marlowe Bell or something, I have been waiting for to come out in paperback. That should be out now, so I should be able to again read and finish this series by the next check-in. It's a cozy murder mystery series, by the way. Really love this one. The first 2 books were better than the third book, so I'm hoping the 4th book brings it back. But this is a series that I actually read the first 3 within 2024, so that was really good, so I would like to just keep on top of it. We've also got one series that I can finish out, which is Within the Sanctuary of Wings by Marie Brennan. This is part of the Memoir by Lady Trent series that starts off with A Natural History of Dragons. Love this series so much. It's taken me so much longer than it should have to read because I love it so much. So I've been savouring these books, which I really don't need to do and I do want to work on. But this is the 5th book. There is a 6th, kind of continues Lady Trent's like descendants, but for me I'm seeing it as I'm going to finish out this memoir series by Lady Trent where we're following Lady Trent writing her memoirs. Finish that out. I've got other series by Marie Brennan which I really want to read, and then I can always get back into that 6th one where we follow Lady Trent's descendants if I want to. Again, no excuse. I love this series so much. It's so wonderful. It's brilliant. Like, it is a historical fiction fantasy. We are following Lady Trent in like this kind of like almost like Jane Austen time period, Sense and Sensibilities, but with dragons. Lady Trent is a naturalist who is enamored with dragons. However, she's in a society where this is not seen as a womanly pursuit, and so she should not be pursuing it. But of course, she ignores society, and these are her different memoirs detailing different events and things that she got caught up in, different dragons that she found. There are artwork throughout these books, which is just, oh, gorgeous. If I can find one. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I love it. I just love everything about this series, so I really need to actually finish this one out. One I'm waiting on the release for that I know I'm going to be finishing out, so I'm kind of giving myself a little extra helping hand here, and that's Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. The third book, which is Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales, I think it is, comes out February. So excited for it. I love this series so much. It's wonderful. It's kind of like light academia, cozy fantasy. We're following Emily Wilde, who is a professor of fairies, and she is creating the world's first encyclopedia of fairies. Complete this encyclopedia, she is going to this Nordic, kind of based on Nordic culture, but this area where it's very reclusive, it's snowy, and there's this particular type of elusive fairies that she wants to get involved with. However, she's not very good dealing with people, and then her academic rival of sort, Professor Wendell Bumblebee, turns up, and he is able just to smooth his way into things. He's so charming and charismatic. Then you're just seeing like them exploring fairy, but also their love that starts between them. It's just so good. I love this series so freaking much. So yeah, really looking forward to finishing out this series, which I can definitely do in February. The next one is The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. This is, what series name is this called? I think it's Book of the Library series, book 1 of the Library trilogy. So the third and final book is coming out in April, and I'm really intrigued. I loved this first book so freaking much. I tabbed it up, I adored it, I adored everything about this one. The second book was good. Not as good as the first book, but I do find Mark Lawrence can be a little bit like that with his series, where he'll start off really, really strong and then not finish the best. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also kind of apprehensive about where this is going to end. But I really enjoyed this one. We are following Livara and Eva. Eva has lived inside this library his whole life. He's been trying to escape, trying to get out, but he is just stuck within this library. Livara has been living out on the dust, but then her family get attacked, and so she has to go into this city, and they all look down on her because she's from the dust, but she's really smart and she manages to get herself working at this library. It is a tale that spans time, space. It's kind of like a fantasy sci-fi-ish. There is so much about what is war, who are your enemies, is it really just the way, like what side you stand on is what defines you as whether you're the enemy or not. It's really interesting. I just had so much fun with this first book, so I'm really hoping it ends well, because there's just so much that goes into. I mean, this book was so well done. And then we've got a few books which I know I'm not going to be able to finish the series, but hopefully I can make progress. I don't know what this series is called, but it's A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch by Sarah Hawley. This is the second book that I read. The first one is A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, I want to say. Yeah, A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon. So I have that first book available on Kindle because I picked it up when it was 99p, and I think I've also got the third one, which is also 99p. So this is just a really fun kind of like urban paranormal romance, fantasy romance series. We are following a demon and a witch, and I had so much fun with this. Like, it was so good. Like, I enjoyed our characters. There is an overarching plotline, so this is a series that I would personally recommend reading in order. Don't do what I did and just read them out of order. It's just because I found this one in a free library, so I decided to just pick it up and give it a try, then realised actually I should have read the first one first. It worked so well. Like, I really enjoyed the interactions. I was intrigued by what's happening in this world and like the overarching plotline. But basically we're following Astaroth and Cordelia. Now, Cordelia is the witch, and she is very much like, I'm going to do whatever I want. She's very feisty. She's very sure of herself. She has a difficult relationship with her mum, and she ends up saving Astaroth, but not realizing she's saving Astaroth. She is always trying to help people, but when she realizes she's helped a demon, and the thing is, I can't say too much about why she doesn't like him because that's in the first book, which again I haven't read, and also I don't want to spoil it. So but there's a reason why she doesn't like him. Astaroth, however, has lost all of his memories, so he has no idea who she is, why she hates him, and they go off on this adventure to try and get his memories back, and it's just so much fun. I really, really enjoyed this. Then we have Trial of the Sun Queen. This is the Artifacts of Uranus, book 1. I've read books 1 and 2, which were sent to me by the publisher, which was amazing. This is a fantasy romance series, and I really enjoy it. It is for like the Sarah J. Maas girlies, is what I would say about this series. We are following Law, and Law has been in prison for like 12 years in this really despicable prison which the Aurora King rules over, but she manages to kind of escape. She gets plucked out by the Sun King to take part in these trials to become the next Sun Queen, and you just kind of go from there. There's Fae and all sorts. It very much is Sarah J Maas Fae. So I really liked books 1 and 2. Books 3 and 4 are now out. I thought it was going to be a trilogy. It's not. It is a quartet. I really just want to kind of continue it because these are really fun, bite-sized, easy read. Be good to just break up my reading with something that's just a little bit I don't need to concentrate too much, but I know what's going on. The second book kind of annoyed me because it left on a bit of a cliffhanger, and I'm like, oh man, we went through all of this. It was a little bit slow and stuff, but we went through all of that and then you left on that, and so now I need to know what's going to happen. I like it. I do like this series. I think it is good. And then we've got a reread that I want to do, which is The Ninth Reign by Jen Williams. I'm actually going to be buddy reading this series with Danny. I just need to message her. I need to message her and be like, Danny, when do you want to start the buddy read for this? But this I really, really enjoyed. It's been a few years since I read the first book, but I also own books 2 and 3, thanks to Denise, so thank you for that. I really want to finish out that series, so I need to make sure that I'm at least reading at the very least the first book, but I would love to say I'm going to be reading books 1 and 2 before the next series check-in. But this one, we are following a few different perspectives. Tourmaline, who is this Fae prince. Now the Fae are not doing so good, and they have their tree of life that would give them extended life is dying, and so they have resorted to basically becoming vampires. They use human blood to extend their life instead, but it has some disastrous consequences. But he has decided he's had enough of courtly life and politics, so he's going to go off and strike it out on his own. He then ends up bumping into Lady Vintage, who is an eccentric explorer, decided to go off and find out what is actually going on, because not only are the Fae dealing with the fact that their tree of life is dying, but also there's this blight that's affecting the lands that is making it so that the land just kind of dies off and it can never regrow, and it's starting to impact humans, like the way they live their lives and stuff. And so Vintage is like, I need to find out what's going on and see if we can stop this. And then we have a third perspective, which is following a witch. No, her name's not on here, but we're following a witch, and witches in this world are kept in another prison-like complex, and she manages to escape, and I really like her perspective. I like seeing the things that she's had to go through and just how she's interacting, and all three of them end up together. I really like this series. I think it's underrated. I really want to read more by Jen Williams, but before I do that, I want to finish out this series. And then lastly, I have The Traitor Barrow Cormorant by Seth Dickinson. This is the book that I think is so much better than The Will of the Many, by the way. But I was hoping The Will of the Many, this book would focus on a part that we don't get as much in here, which is when Barrow Cormorant is at the school of the people that conquered her homeland. So she decided from a very young age, when she saw her homeland being conquered, that she was going to go to their school and she was going to take them down from the inside out. I was kind of hoping that because this is set in a school setting, we were going to see that part, which gets glossed over in here, because we only see a small segment of Barrow being in the school, and then we see her when she is passed out of the school and is working for the government, and the honestly atrocious things that she does to get the government to trust her. Brilliant series, absolutely brutal. Read the first book last year, really want to read the second book. So I really should have held up the second book, but I'm holding this one up now. But I loved it. I annotated this one so much. I had such a good time with it. So again, I don't think I'm going to finish out the series before the next check-in, but I would like at least to read the second one, which is The Monster Barrow Cormorant, especially because of where it ended. In this one, like, oh, it was brutal. The decisions that Barrow makes is unreal. Now, in the UK, this is known as just The Traitor by Seth Dickinson, but I really didn't like those covers. So I decided to treat myself when I was in America in 2023 to buy these editions of the books, and actually I love reading from them. Like, honestly, one thing I can say is American books are just bigger and floppier, and they're so much easier to read from. UK books is so much like smaller, they're not as floppy. I mean, this is a bad example because this is actually a perfect flop of a book. Like, they're just normally so much smaller, like the writing, the text is so much smaller, whereas these are just floppy, the text size is amazing, like, oh man. I do love them. I wish I'd bought so many more, but I will admit these are so much more expensive than buying them in the UK. Swings and roundabouts there. But right, okay, those are all the series that I kind of want to make progress with. The next check-in, we are going to compare stats, see where I got to, and also see did I make progress in any of these series, and then probably make a new list. Now what I should probably do is make a list in my reading journal of all these series. Am I gonna do that? Probably not. No, because I didn't think about that when I set up my 2025 journal. At this point, I would put it at the halfway point, but I don't know where the halfway point's going to be because my journaling is being a bit more chaotic this year just because I want to take part in so many more readathons. So normally I would have a set amount of like counts of spreads that I do for the month, and so I could easily plan out, oh okay, well the middle's here, it's not going to happen like that. Anyway, that was a really weird tangent that nobody needed, but yeah, there we are. So that is just a quick series check-in. Like I say, if you do want it more in depth in all the series that I was currently in the middle of in 2024, then do help yourself to that video. I will have it linked below. It was in July, so it's a little bit outdated, but as you can see, like nothing much has changed too much when you compare last year's stats to this. Well, yeah, technically this year, because this is where we're starting 2025 with, so not much has really changed. I would really love to be able to reduce the amount of series that I'm in the middle of by more than one. I would really like to do that. However, I also know that because of different video series that I do, that I end up starting a lot of series. Whether that actually happens or not, I don't know. At least don't let it get higher than 60 is the plan. I would love to lower it and maybe get to like 55. I feel like that would be good and doable. So we'll see if that happens. But okay, you'll have to let me know. Do you know how many series you're in the middle of? Is it something that you track, or do you not really focus on those sort of things? I would be really interested to know. But that is it for this video. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. I know it's a little bit, I feel like this is more a book. Try again. I feel like this is a video more for like the stats people and also just like nosy of what you're in the middle of, but I'm going to leave it there. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all of you that take the time to watch these videos, that help me decide what videos to do, because this video was actually decided upon in Discord for what video you wanted. So thank you so much for just being amazing. I really appreciate it. But yeah, okay, I think if you've made it this far but just don't know what to comment, then I'm looking at anatomy. So let's just put a heart emoji in the comments below if you've made it this far and just don't know what to comment. And thank you so freaking much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, then please do consider giving it that thumbs up, subscribing and commenting. Those three things really help this channel out. My social media links, anyone I've mentioned, will be linked below for you, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.